All right, everyone, I'm Mitch with Emerald Water Anglers, and per many requests, we are going to do a tutorial on tying the Sound Searcher, originally tied by the Godfather, Mike McCoy himself. So let's get into it. All right, here we go, Sound Searcher time. Alrighty. Get a good little thread base going here. Trim that. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in the tail. You can kind of use whatever. I like Steve Farrar mixes. MFC does a couple of good synthetic scales and tails. EP fibers, bucktail, whatever you like, it all works. I sometimes like to layer my stuff a little bit here, so I'm gonna do a little bit of this olive synthetic. I cut some of that off there, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay it down on the table like so. Trim it up a little bit if you want, and I'm gonna layer a couple other materials into it. So I'm gonna layer some of these voodoo fibers in there. Couple go a long way, and then I'm also going to layer a little bit of Flashaboo in there. Just make it a little bit more dynamic, but really, play around with it. Any bait fishy colors, I think they look good, but you can do pink, blue, purple. It all works. It all looks good, and honestly, I don't think the fish care that much. So have fun, make it your own, but this is how I'm going to do it, just as an example for you guys, and you can let me know if you like it or not. I'm just cutting a couple strands of flash, and all I'm doing on the table here, and I'll show you in a second, is I'm just mixing it all up together, so it kind of all becomes one clump of material, if you will. So just look a little bit something like that. So I got some fibers in there, some flash in there, and it all just becomes one thing where you can see that all right. Tail doesn't have to be too long. You can do longer ones, shorter ones. They all fish. They're really eating it for the action, but kind of a mid-length on that tail is usually good. Somewhere like that. Trim your tags, tie those down, make sure they're secure. Cool. And then I'm just taking, so you can do 2mm foam, 3mm foam, however floaty you want it to be, but I'm just cutting it into a nice rectangle here. And then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of trimming the corners off it to create a little bit of a point for the back end, like so. And I'm gonna do that on the front at the end too, but I'll show you that. And then I'm gonna lay that flat, right over top of the tail. And I'm gonna tie just in front of that little point I created. And I'm gonna give it a couple pretty nice secure wraps if I can, so that foam doesn't spin around on me. Whoa, like so. Sometimes that little point will kind of push your tail down, but you can just kind of bend it up, call it a day. I think that looks pretty decent. Then we're gonna wrap our body. So I'm just using a little kind of flashy green dubbing. You can kind of use whatever color you want. I'm gonna cover this up in a little bit, but I'll show you that. This is just to give our body a little bit of body and a little bit of flash through there. I need a little bit more, no worries. Throw it on there. Just creating a little bit of iridescence there under the foam. And then what I like to do is I like to take a little bit more of that synthetic material, not too long, about the length of the hook shank is perfect, I think. You can do it longer, but sometimes it'll foul around the hook, so you don't want it to be too long. but you can kind of measure it out, probably about like so. And then I like to turn my hook sideways, and that way I can kind of hold this foam out of the way, like so. And then I'll kind of pinch that material against the shank there, and then tighten it down on the underside of the hook shank. So I turned it sideways, so I'm tying it in sideways, but it's on the underside like so. And then you can trim those tags. Boom, trimmed, done, good. Secure that a little bit. We'll clean up some of these fibers later. Now your foam's just sitting here. What are we gonna do with it? We're gonna tie it down, all right? So I want to tie that down right behind the eye of the hook. Nice and secure if you can. Just like the back, we don't want it to spin around too much. And then once I have that tied down, I want to just trim this big tongue off. We don't need all that foam. So I'll just trim that square for now. And then just like I did on the back, I'm gonna trim those corners off. Like that. And you're basically done. You can whip finish this. And if you wanted to, you could fish it just like that. Because we're imitating little injured bait fish, I do like to put a little eye on the bottom there. So I'll take one of these adhesive eyes, stick that puppy on there carefully. I like to press it just below the eye of the hook there, like so. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of UV just to lock that in there. It also locks in your thread at the same time, which is nice. But this just makes it a little bit more secure on there. And then you can zap it. All right, that's probably good. And like I was saying before, you can trim up some of these errant fibers that you don't like. Make it look a little bit prettier. And then again, just preference thing, you could just fish this if you wanted to. I like to color the sides, give it a little dark side. Most of your bait fish are gonna have a dark top and a lighter bottom. So kind of creating that contrast sometimes is nice. Maybe that's more for the angler, but you know, I like to do it anyway. I think it looks cool to do something like that. You can do black. You could also bar it if you wanted to. So you could do just like a couple bars down the side. Whatever you like. It fades a little bit when it's in the water, but there goes the phone. But yeah, so that's the EWA sound searcher. Like I said, get creative with it. Use some different colors, some different materials, natural, synthetics. You know, get a couple Sharpies, mark it up, make it your own. Throw some eyes on there, have some fun. And the best way to fish it is just to put it in the water. So go out there, tie your own, have fun. If you got questions about materials we like on them, just let us know. Give us a holler, come in and come see us, and we'll show you some stuff that we like. But yeah, that's the sound searcher.